Welcome to Reboot with Dr. Arasi Maran. I am your host, Arasi Maran. I'm an interventional cardiologist, but I want to take my voice beyond the cath lab to talk about everyday things and scientifically empower you so that you can take care of your health wherever you are. Today, I have a very interesting topic. It's a controversial topic: peptide therapy. It's everywhere right now on Instagram, in longevity clinics, in podcasts, promising fat loss, muscle gain, longevity, everything all at once. And I wanted to talk about what is the science behind it. It's very confusing, it's controversial, and there are a lot of emotionally charged comments which we are being based on it. So let's be very clear. I am supportive of peptide therapy, which actually has science backing it. But I'm not supportive of peptide therapy that has zero high quality human research evidence. And I thought I should explain what peptides are, what are they, when should they be used, and what are the common peptides which are already in vogue right now. So let's start with what are peptides. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. That is, if you take a protein, when it finally breaks down to a molecule which your body can process it, that is an amino acid. A series of short chains of amino acids are called peptides. They are basically small signaling molecules in the body. We already use peptides legitimately in medicine. Insulin is a peptide. Glucagon like peptide, one agonist, all the GLP-1s, the semaglutide, the Monjaros of the world, etc. Growth hormones, oxytocin, calcitonin. These are all peptides we commonly use in our day-to-day life right now. So when people hear peptide therapy, they think something new has cropped up because it sounds very scientific and very logical. And that's why peptide therapy has exploded popularity, because they seem to promise precision. They sound more natural than drugs. They appeal to the people who want optimization, not illness care. It doesn't sound like a medication. And frankly, they are heavily marketed. Longevity medicine right now lives in a space between curiosity and truthfully caution. So here I am. Let's talk about what peptides I support firmly. I support use of insulin. I support the use of GLP-1, growth hormones, oxytocin and calcitonin in patients who need them. For example, GLP-1s or glucagon-like peptide 1 therapies, they have cardiovascular outcome data, they have outcome data for diabetes, they have outcome data for sleep apnea, they have outcome data for even kidney disease. They have showed benefits beyond weight loss, they have reduced diabetes risk, they have improved cardiometabolic health and cardiovascular protection. We understand the mechanism of action, we know the side effect, we know the long-term risk profiles. GLP-1s went through phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and then finally post-marketing surveillance before it was available to us. This is not influencer medicine. This is evidence-based therapeutics. GLP-1 did not become legitimate because it was popular. It became popular because it worked. And that's why I'm not opposed to GLP-1s. The same way with insulin therapy, the same way with calcitonin therapy and growth hormone for those patients who need it. Now, this is where peptide therapy kind of goes off the rails, and let's talk about that. The uncomfortable part. Many peptides are being marketed today. They have no randomized trials. They are supported by animal data. Yes, they do have good animal data. They have cell culture studies. There are lots of theoretical mechanisms which are being touted about. They are also not manufactured in a standard fashion. They're usually compounded. There is no regulatory bodies looking at their quality of that. There is no dosage specific data available. They are literally used off label without any long-term safety data. But here's the core issue which affects me or annoys me the most. Biological plausibility is not clinical evidence. What I'm trying to say is just because something could work in theory does not mean it should be injected into humans. The common claims I hear: it boosts healing, it resets inflammation, it optimizes hormone, it reverses aging. But I keep asking, where are the human trials? What are the dosage specific indications? What are the long term risks? What happens after 5 to 10 years? And what happens when you stop them? The answer is often silence or even some sort of a hatred. I mean, there was a comment I made on Instagram, and then they started attacking my capitalization instead of actually presenting me with science. There is so much fear mongering, and that's another problem with this whole longevity medicine or regenerative medicine and whatever you want to call it. Peptide marketing often relies on fear, not facts. Fear of aging, fear of obesity, fear of muscle loss, metabolic decline, toxins, broken hormones, etc. Literally, they are going about saying, your doctor won't want you to know this. Pharma is suppressing the truth. This fixes the root cause. This is so far away from the truth that I don't even see the truth anymore. Fear based medicine is extremely dangerous because it pushes people to skip proven therapies, creates a distrust within the medical system, and you start chasing unregulated compounds with little or no accountability beyond them. Now, I want to talk to you about a story which was there when I was a resident, which is, 20 years ago. Yes, I'm old and I'm proud of it. About how why pharma is actually not about suppressing the truth, and it's actually a little bit more twisted. Okay, I'm going to tell you the story about two medications, hydralazine and isosorbide. These are two generic compounds, age old. You can go get hydralazine for $3, isosorbide for $3. Very cheap, very commonly available. But something very interesting happened. Uh, they found out when hydralazine and isosorbide were combined, they demonstrated a significant mortality benefit. That is, they increased the quantity of life, especially in African American or Black patients with heart failure. But these are two generic medications. How does the company make money with two generic medications? This is where the twister comes in. They tried and tested this medication in completely generic available doses in some weird dosing format. And of course, and that trial, a heft trial, African American heart failure trial, was published in New England Journal of Medicine in 2004, and the drug was advertised as Bidil, Bidil, and the company was Nitromed. It's a biotech pharma company. It's now defunct, but nevertheless, Bidil demonstrated 43% reduction in mortality, 33% reduction in the first hospitalization. These are big numbers, huge benefits in quantity of life and saving healthcare dollars by reducing your first hospitalization. And it was also for a community which is often ignored and undertreated and underdiagnosed, the African American population. But it was so ridiculously expensive. If you go and ask for Bidil, we had to jump hoops. And I was a resident and a fellow at that time, and we will have to write form after form after form to get prior authorization, etc. It was extremely frustrating. And then we doctors, cardiologists decided this study is bogus because these are two generic medications. And just because the pharma company chose to test it in some sort of a funny dosing combination does not take away from the benefit of hydralazine and isosorbide, and we started giving our patients just generic formulations itself. The company is no longer existent, but nevertheless. So even so, pharma company will find a way to commercialize a medication if there's actual science behind the medication. The same thing happened to semaglutide. Semaglutide is actually Ozempic, right? But they marketed Ozempic for diabetes and labeled it with a different price rate. And Wegovy was labeled for obesity, and that was given a different price point. Even though it's the same medication, look how the pharmacies or the pharma companies try to make a buck out of it. So if peptides really delivered proper human outcomes, pharma would not be ignoring them. They would be finding ways to scale them. So that's why when it is not being chased by a pharmaceutical company, there's a very, very valid reason. So think about it. If they are capable of retrialing a medication in a funny medication, they're willing to repackage a medication so that they can monetize it. Do you really think a pharma company is walking away from a big group such as peptides? So please bear in mind when this is happening, it's more of a red flag. So this is how, if you're looking for longevity, there are four principles, four questions you should ask yourself before adopting a new medication or a new trial. Is there human evidence? Is there dose and duration based evidence? Does absence of evidence means it's okay? And ethics matter. And you as a patient need to demand sort of ethical based, science based fact. Now, here is my hard truth when it comes to any sort of longevity medicine. Movement is still the most powerful drug. You don't need boutique workouts or elite training plans. Just walking, strength training 2 to 3 times a week, balance and mobility work, cardio at a conversational pace. All we have enough and more evidence to say there is reduced cardiovascular outcomes, improved insulin sensitivity, better mood and better cognition, lower cancer and dementia risk. The best exercise is the one you will still be doing a year from now. The cost is minimal. The return on this investment is massive. Now let's come to a very boring, very unsexy, but an effective intervention: nutrition. You don't need detoxes. You don't need extreme elimination diets. You don't need $400 supplements. Just take adequate protein, good fiber intake, real foods, healthy fats, consistency over perfection. You have 21 meals in a week. Can you be good for 18 of the 21 meals? Then you have achieved it. Again, cost is cheaper over ultra processed or high priced diets, and the return of investments is phenomenal with excellent, good metabolic and cardiovascular benefits. The most underrated performance tool, sleep. Sleep improves hormonal regulation, insulin sensitivity, immune function, mood, and resilience. Better than all the gadgets you can buy. Consistent sleep wave cycle, dark, cool room, no screens late in the night, meditation, mindfulness, and other consistent practices to reduce your stress and improve your sleep. It's cost free, return on investment is enormous. And finally, the invisible medicine, social connection. If you do all of this, and if this is isolating you and giving you more stress, that's going to raise your inflammatory markers. It's going to increase your cardiovascular risk, and it is going to shorten your lifespan. So, what helps? Creating a community, finding purpose, drawing boundaries, time outdoors, meaningful relationships. These can optimize your biomarkers and still, if you are chronically stressed and disconnected because you're trying to follow five different rules put on by different influencers, that stress can lead to early death. And medications, there are several evidence based medications for the right patient and the right indication, which improves and increases the quality and quantity of life. So, big picture, longevity is not built on hype, fear, or constant upgrades. It's built on boring consistency, evidence, and any habit that compounds over time. The most effective longevity plan usually looks very simple, and that's why people underestimate it. To conclude, I love science, I love innovation, and I believe in the future of longevity medicine, and it's incredibly exciting. But the progress without rigor is not progress at all. It's experimentation. Your body is not a beta test. So if you're considering any therapy, peptide or otherwise, ask better questions and demand evidence. And remember, the goal of longevity isn't to live longer at any cost. It is to live better, longer, and safely. This is Reboot with Dr. Arasi Maran, and as always, your health is in your hands. Until next time, goodbye.